Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When things go bad, what do you do? When you fail at something, or when we fail at something, what do we do? Well, we sit down and we try to analyze objectively all the actions and decisions you made. And you try to put them together, look at it and say, okay, what decision, what was the consequence of this decision? Well, was that a good decision? And then after that, what did that create? What, yield another decision, another act, and so on? What are the consequences? And in an objective way, you bring the evidence, you put them together, you analyze it, and you reach a conclusion. And you say, well, I think these were the factors that influenced the bad outcome, the faulty outcome. What do? Okay, you design a new plan. What am I going to do to make it better? You do this. It's a plan. And then you act again. And after a while, you assess the results, the new results. And then again, you do the same process. Look around. This is where the decision was made. This is how I implemented. These were the consequences. Now, is it good? Is it bad? Where did I make a mistake? Where did they work? And then you tweak it again because you're going to make mistakes again. But you have to be courageous. You don't have to be a weasel. Leave your ego away and say, okay, this is where I made a mistake. I gotta. And we're gonna fail many times, but we're gonna improve unless we're imbeciles or we're subjective or we are, as these guys seem to be over there right now in Germany. So Germany, the German manufacturing plunged in fresh blow to shorts. So German manufacturing is going south, bad, not south like, in the whomever, is just bad. Why? One of the reasons, could it be because you imposed sanctions on yourself? I think that's the main reason, it's not the only reason. And why would Germans impose sanctions against themselves? By imposing to Russia. Was it in order? Did that decision work, the decisions were more than one, work against the national interest of Germany? I think so. I'm 99% certain yes. And here you have the results, and the Telegraph portrays Scholz as being the guilty one. He is the guilty one, but in what way? And what can Germany do? The Telegraph, German manufacturing plunges in fresh blow for Scholz. I think one of the reasons why we have this title like that is because Scholz, one reason out of a few, is because Scholz did not want to send missiles, long-range missiles, Taurus, to Ukraine. I think that's what it is. If tomorrow Scholz would agree to that, I guarantee you this would not have been published by the Telegraph. I'm 99% certain of that. So they say here that German factory orders fell by a tenth. That's a big deal. In February, in a fresh blow for Chancellor Olaf Scholz as he battles to revive Europe's biggest economy. Orders were 10% lower, or 10 percentage points lower than a year earlier, despite hopes that demand for the country's manufacturing goods had started to recover. 10% lower this year versus last year. If you go like this next year, lower than today, this year's, there's going to be 20%. My God. They were only 0.2 percentage points higher than in January, according to Federal Statistical Agency, rather than 0.7% predicted by economists. The reason? I think it's expensive energy, expensive products. When you work, right, when you are in a manufacturing business, you need the cheap product, resources, material, and you have a certain kind of labor. And then you have the production. Could be effective, could not be effective, what kind of tools you use. Remember, let's say you're a roofer. You work for a roof. Let's say you put a roof. You want shingles. Now, what kind of shingles, what the materials will be? If they're expensive because the manufacturing company needs expensive process to produce them, you're going to buy them very expensive. When you're going to buy expensive, you're going to have a worker. Let's say the worker, you have a shortage of people who would work on the roof for whatever reason. Why? Maybe low pay, maybe they don't want to do the job. and many other reasons. So you have a person who would work for a very high, so the labor cost will be high for you. You already got the materials expensive, and then you send them to the roof, and instead of sending them with, let's say, air compressor, nails, pump, nail gun, boom, 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 you send him with a fucking hammer and a nail, pum, 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 pum. So the process is idiotic. Technology is low, pum, pum. So you're gonna lose time. So you're gonna lose time. So instead of taking to make the roof, I don't know, 1 day, you're gonna make it in 10 days. That means you're going to have less revenue at the end of the year because you can't roll a lot of jobs together, so you can make profit. Then the labor cost, the laborer, you're going to pay him with his insurances and all that. And the materials you're going to get, they're expensive. So you got at least three main ingredients that are expensive. What are you going to do? You can't compete. And everything is going to be more expensive. That means someone is not going to build a house because the roof, to make a roof, is going to bankrupt the contractor. Germany, you got bad resources. That is, no resources. And you buy electricity and gas and oil from what? Not from the Russians anymore. Or at least not at the price that you used to buy them before. Why is that? Decision made by whom? By your elected officials. Olaf Scholz, didn't he go to Washington, D.C.? I think it was January or February, just before the Russian unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. When Olaf Scholz came to the United States of America and he was asked about 1,000 times by the press here, so are you going to close the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines? What are you going to do with that? The Russians will blackmail you. You can buy cheap gas from them. You're going to buy it from us. And what did he do? Ich weiß es nicht. I don't know. He came to Germany, back home, the same question by the same media. Different names, the same push. What are you gonna do, Herr Chancellor? And Herr Chancellor, ich weiß es nicht, until he said, well, we're gonna stop that, let's impose sanctions. Hey! And now, these are the consequences. What should you do? Well, I think the first thing, you should buy cheaper gas and oil and products where you used to buy them cheaper. There is the materials will be cheaper. Can you start with that? That's one move out of many. I think that's the main one, actually. Main one. So how are you going to revive your industry? How are you going to do it? Biggest economy. By buying more expensive stuff from the Americans, let's say, or from others that sell it to you at a higher price. So again, my friends, this Scholz is either a guy who plays in the same team, or he's just, I don't think he's naive. I know the politicians might be dumb, but they have a sense of interest. Very, how should I put it, refined. That is like a fish. Like a fish knows where the current goes. Without being smart, knows where the current goes, or where the pressure in the water is lower and higher. Therefore, it means that it's shallow or it's deeper, is in deep depth. He knows. The same with the politicians. They can smell that, where the interest is. The problem is his decisions, his little interests affect a whole country. All right, my friends, Germany is going down and someone else is unhurt. You know who that unhurt is so far? The big boat here, it's unhurt yet. But it's coming. Why? Because these imbeciles are not working for us. They're working for bigger interests. And what is the big interest? Interests? Cheap labor. Cheap production. Big market that we are going to control and we are in charge of. Then we're going to have profits. And that's it. We're going to have monopolies. Remember, you don't have to have necessarily, there's not a monopoly. It's not only one company. Okay, that's 50. No, there's no monopoly. But if they're in the same club and the rest are not allowed to grow, how do you call that? Differently, but and if you have the government and the mass media through the government, why through the government? The government can obviously institute some certain laws through, this mechanism, through the Congress, that can affect the mass media. You say, that's why we have a Supreme Court. Yeah, really? Who appoints the Supreme Court? Have you seen how that Kanji, whatever her name is, voted? Or Sotomayor, Bacalomayor, and many others. They interpret the Constitution a little bit differently. Anyway, so these guys have the big interest. They have in their hand the political system, which is based on money. I read a few articles earlier today where said, well, Biden got $80 million in fundraising over there, way ahead. Trump, he's got 40 million. Oh, without tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, or I think they got to $1 billion, didn't they? Before, I don't know, did they? I think so. But anyway, too much money. You can't be, I mean, really, who invests that? You and I? Yeah, some of those things. But can we compare ourselves with, I don't know, Goldman Sachs? How much they, and then, yeah, call your representatives. So this is the game, and we are just hamsters on the spinning wheel. That's what we are. They need only our energy and our consumption and keep our mouths shut. That's it. And they're gonna take care of us. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Germany is doomed. Germany is not independent. Germany is not a sovereign country. Hasn't been since 1945. All right. Things will get worse before they get better. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.